So we need to find hope somewhere. We need to find some hope somewhere so that it's not just constant disappointment. You've been let down, you've been disappointed. There's probably been times when you had your hopes up because he did well for a while, but it didn't last very long. And oh man, I'm not even going to get my hopes up anymore. We want to find a little piece of hope somewhere, and there's always going to be something somewhere. I'm going to come up with an example that one of the other NT ladies that came up with. If you can find something that consistently works in dealing with him, you found one thing that you know that every time I say or do this, it usually works out pretty well, or maybe there's something that if I make sure I don't say or do this thing, it usually works out pretty well. So now there's hope because I know that given this, at least in this one little domain, I know that I can have some success. And then once you have success in that little tiny area, statistically speaking, you should be able to find a second area somewhere, and then you can start scaling up. So I'm going to give you an example that will help you make sense of this. We had an NT wife, and she said, every time I want to do something that he views as a radical change, when we're going to talk about a vacation or maybe purchase a nice used car or any kind of thing that gets outside of his structure, he's very uncooperative. Sometimes will just refuse flat out to even do it. So I had a little conversation with her that I'm going to have with you now, that people with ASD are slow processors. You can be very intuitive, very spontaneous. You can pretty much view a situation and gather enough data in your head to where you don't have to deliberate on it for months. He is like a slow 20-year-old computer with hardly any memory space, and you fire it up and it takes forever to come on, and then you try to open the window and the little thing spins around forever before the window opens up. He is exactly like that, exactly like that. He has to have time to process, sometimes as much as 24 hours. So this NT wife usually would present something to him. He would have some reservations. She would download that as he doesn't care, which I'm not faulting her. But then she would get a little pushy, which raised his anxiety. So now he not only had some reservations, but he went the next level, which he just flat out refused to do it. And she downloaded that as he's narcissistic. Now that she knows that he's a slow processor, and she wrote me a big long email about this. I'm giving you the summary. She goes, now when I have an important decision that I want his input or cooperation with, I put it out there and then I leave it alone. I don't touch it. I don't even mention it again. And after he's slept on it, thought about it, ruminated about it, he almost always will come back and go, yeah, I think I could do that. That's probably a pretty good idea. And so she totally flipped that thing around, 180 degrees. She realized his slow processing has nothing to do with him being obstinate, uncooperative, neglectful, whatever other terms you might use. He had to have some time to think about it. And so that was her little piece of hope. She knew that 9 times out of 10, if she planted the seed and then kept her mouth shut and let him think about it, 9 times out of 10, he would be okay with it. And that was that one little piece of hope. But then she found another little niche that worked, another little key that worked in that particular lock. And so now she kind of got out of this rabbit hole of negativity bias and slowly got to the point where she's pretty disciplined and was more focusing on the positives. There certainly was negatives, but she wouldn't hyper-focus on those so much. She would find those little tiny moments of success and provide him with some acknowledgement and praise, which was very reinforcing for him. Your husband, he would love to be out of the doghouse. And when you just offer a few words of appreciation or, hey, I appreciate the fact that you did this, very reinforcing for him because he's used to always doing things wrong. He's used to always messing up. Feels like he never lives up to your expectations. And he's probably has even got to the point where it doesn't matter what I say or do, it's never going to be good enough, so he's quit trying. So this would be a way to kind of turn that around.